And the UEFA Champions League round of 16 first leg matches were completed on Wednesday with 2 games. Manchester United playing away to Atletico Madrid and Benfica welcoming Ajax to the Estadio de Luz. Let's start our recap from the Wanda Metropolitano, Atletico versus United.
And it is Manchester United in their changed colours of blue and black. He did actually say this week he now regards Manchester as his city. Had to say that, didn't he?
He was an Atletico fan, wasn't he, as a boy?
In from Renan Lodi, and off the post and in from João Felix. What a header! Deserved that from the way they've taken the game to their visitors right from the start. Lindelof away, back it came from Renan Lodi. It's just a beauty. It's an absolute beauty.
I mean, you can criticise defensively. Maguire has to get across his man, but the movement, the anticipation from João Felix is brilliant.
Every time you think he's on the wane, something magical happens again. He's back up to his feet here after taking a knock. Manchester United are coming again, and Elanga is in, and Elanga has equalised.
Well, what a substitution from Ralf Rangnick. This young lad comes on the pitch, and it's a slip heel. He just gets his feet tangled up. Don't know why he tries to slide for the ball, but the finish is so composed. It really is. He gets his head up.
Over it comes, way over Jimenez. That was Llorente, and that's Griezmann off the bar. Another one from Lamar, another corner coming. Well, that'll do for tonight. Whew. That was fast and furious from the off.
So we are joined by our football analyst, former Trinidad and Tobago international, Brent Sancho. Brent, welcome to the SportsMax zone. Atletico at home against Man United. Was that the result you anticipated? Let me start there.
Well, it was difficult to anticipate with the both teams and the way they've been playing so far. They've been very unpredictable in terms of their form, in terms of the way they have gotten the type of results that they have gotten so far. But all in all, it was an outstanding performance by Atletico Madrid, given the fact that they have not been particularly great, both in La Liga and in the Champions League. So for me, it is a good performance, but not the type of result that they wanted. Manchester United dug deep and eventually got the result. I think out of the two managers, I believe Rangnick would be the happier going into the second tie in Old Trafford.
Yes, I would think so, because for long periods in the game, Brent, Man United were facing defeat here, and I know it's an away fixture for them. So, you know, Atletico, you know, being at home would feel more comfortable there. But what aspects of the Man United game, by your reckoning, fell below standard today? Because there were long periods in this match where, you know, a Man United fan looking on would have been very disappointed with the output.
I think you'd have to ask the producer for extra time if I was to go into every single one, Lance. But it was poor. And look, it's indicative of what we've seen from United for the most part. They were very uncomfortable in possessing the ball in all phases of the game. There was no one going beyond and stretching the Atletico Madrid. And all in all, the work rate is just not good enough for a Manchester United team or a team at that level. And there's so many different things you can pick at as it relates to the performance. We saw a decent performance on the weekend against Leeds. But why I brought the Leeds game up, it shows that there is something still within the United team where the players are going to dig in. They are going to battle, they are going to fight, despite the fact that the quality that you would expect from a Manchester United team is not there. They're still willing to battle for the cause. And if you were to look for some sorts of positive, I guess that's one.
Are they really willing to battle? Because based on Manchester United ex-defender Rio Ferdinand commenting on this game, he called them lucky. Of course, that goal in coming to the end of the game, he called them lucky, and he spoke about the performance being very poor. And my question to you, Brent, just based on that build-up, is there's a different manager. It looks like the same team.
There's a slight difference on the whole. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the same team. I think it's the same problems. They still definitely have the same problems. But all in all, look, at the end of the day, the biggest issue within Manchester United is the club. And I mean, you can try to paper over the cracks. You hear so many different comments coming out of the Manchester United camp, whether it's infighting for the captain armband, whether his players are not happy with the training regimen, or whether it's the fact that some players are not happy with the playing time. But there's so many different things you hear coming out of that dressing room. It's really a shame, but it really leads down to the fact that the club as a whole seems to not know what they want to do. And when you have a situation like that, Mariah, it gives the players an excuse. It gives them a reason to not sprint an extra 5 yards or an extra 10 yards to close your opponent down. And you just have to look at Manchester City. When they're in top flight, their players work very hard on both sides of the ball. Manchester United is very, very well off of it on the defensive side. And I think Rangnick said once that transitionally, it's almost like an old truck. And he's right. It's poor for a team of this level. And I don't see that changing unless the club itself fix themselves.
For a long time now, too long to signpost from when. But I've said on this program that Manchester United won't win anything significant, and I've revised that to say won't win anything with Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof in the back. And I can't understand how people who know football would look to tell anybody sensible that Harry Maguire is a top-class footballer. Brent, we keep seeing evidence game after game that this man isn't elite level.
Yeah, he's not elite level, and you know it's funny, George. And he's a player that I believe in his first season or his second season, he was almost undroppable. But what you are seeing now, because of the balance of the team, he's being exposed. All of his shortcomings are coming out. Lack of speed, lack of vision, lack of awareness. Some of the bread and butter things you need as a centre half, he doesn't have. And then of course he's lacking confidence as a player as well. But certainly, if you were to say to me that he is the most expensive defender in world football, I would tell you it's a joke. And it is a joke, really, the fact that the amount of money that United spent for him and what we've been seeing from him so far. And look, you can't make excuses. At the end of the day, you're playing for Manchester United. You can't have a bad game. That's just the way it is when you play at that level. And he's had several bad games. And, you know, I really feel sorry for him because of where he is now. I just don't see how he's going to get back and how he's going to be a major contributor to the Manchester United cause.
Let's talk about two young players now on opposite sides, Brent, because we saw Joao Felix score a cracking header. It was the cross of the match. Renan Lodi played it, and Felix met it with the header that left David De Gea rooted to the spot. And the other young player, the man who equalized for Manchester United, Anthony Elanga, whose father played for Cameroon at the FIFA World Cup, and who has recovered from missing a key penalty in that FA Cup defeat to Middlesbrough at Old Trafford, to come back, get his mind right, and come up with a priceless equaliser on the road in a Champions League last 16 clash. I wanted to talk to me about both young men.
You know, it's funny, I looked at the performance today by Felix, and I must say it's easily his best performance of the season so far. He's had an up and down, and many are suggesting whether it was a right move for him to go to Atletico Madrid. They don't, in all sense, play the type of football that you would expect him to revel in. And many are even suggesting that maybe it's time for him to move on. I certainly feel so, because the talents and what he has in the locker certainly should be in a different type of forum. And I think that is one of the reasons why he struggled at Atletico Madrid. Struggle in the sense of what we expected him to be. He has not lived up to that light, but today certainly was a grand performance, and he showed everything in the toolbox that we're used to from a player of that caliber. And Elanga, of course, scoring against Leeds, turning things around, and now scoring again tonight. I remember him missing that penalty against Middlesbrough, and a young man, I couldn't understand why Manchester United let him kick at that time, but that's, of course, water under the bridge. The point is, he's showing, of course, the maturity of a senior player to take that and put it to one side, of course, and put in the type of performance. And he got what we call in football garbage minutes, but he came on and made a difference. And that was an excellent finish by the young man. And, of course, now everything to play for at Old Trafford.
Okay, more UEFA Champions League discussions to come after the break. Benfica, Ajax in the spotlight.
We continue with more action from the UEFA Champions League as the round of 16 first leg matches that schedule was completed earlier today. The games were played over 4 match days, and these are the results. PSG, Mbappe, the difference, beating Real Madrid 1-0. City turned on the style, beating Sporting from Lisbon in Portugal 5-0. 1-1 between RB Salzburg and Bayern Munich. Then Internazionale of Milan, they fell 2-0 at home to Liverpool. Chelsea beat France's Lille 2-0. Villarreal struck late in Spain to hold Juventus to a 1-1 draw. Manchester United scored relatively late against Atletico to earn themselves a 1-1 draw in Spain. And Benfica came from behind to peg back the high-flying Ajax 2-2, the first Champions League game this season that Ajax have not won. They won all their group games, and they were the hottest ticket in town heading into this knockout phase. Well, let's now take highlights from that clash in Portugal, beg your pardon, Benfica against Ajax.
Alejandro Grimaldo, who sends it over into the box, and the header into the gloves of Pasveer. A little bit wayward there from Lacorimos, and Anthony finds Mazraoui. There's a threat here, and there's an opportunity, and there's an opening goal, scored by Dusan Tadic.
What a finish this was, but I think, like you say, it was a little bit careless, you know, poor touch from Grimaldo, capitalised straight away, and what a ball this is, just to pick out the spare player, the overload, but Tadic just finished that like it was a training ground move. You know, so the composure, he was unopposed, watching the ball, past it, goal bound.
Knock it behind for a corner, and it comes now, the header from Vertonghen. Vertonghen tries the shot again. Still with Vertonghen, he's away from Mazraoui. Oh, and it's gone in, an own goal of Sebastian Haller, of all people.
Score an own goal like that, I don't think he knew much about it, but all credit to Vertonghen, getting the first contact, then having another shot being blocked, and he's straight onto it. And just put the ball in the box. It's really unfortunate.
Here's Daley Blind. And it goes towards Haller, who gets the shot in, and the second time he scores. Sebastian Haller scores at both ends of the field.
Anthony on one side, Tadic from the other side. He's clearly onside Haller. It's just a 1-for-1 in the box. He gets a great touch then.
Rafa Silva is on his bike once again, and that could spell trouble for Ajax. Gonzalo Ramos, flying stop there by Pasveer. It's 2-2.
In the penalty box, but a great counter. I think he wanted a penalty shout. I don't think there's any contact in that. He stays down. But again, a great counter attack. They have the overload.
Should just about do it, and we are beautifully balanced and finely poised for the second leg.
Brent, we expected goals in Portugal, but we expected all of them from a very, very hot and slick Ajax team, which apart from Bayern Munich, Bayern Munich apart, they were the top scorers in the group stage of this Champions League. But we didn't expect Benfica to fight them as they did, and 2-2, I would say, is a fair result. What say you?
Yeah, it is a fair result. I did say there would be 4 goals in the game, but I didn't expect it to be 2 apiece at all. But you have to give credit to Benfica. I think tactically, the way they approached the game, the fact that they were able to press Ajax high up the park and not allow them to play their free-flowing football that they're so accustomed to. And of course, they rode their luck at times, but generally speaking, the type of energy and effort that was, of course, a big part of the Benfica cause, you would have to suggest the big reason why they were able to come out of that 2-2. And as you rightfully say, I am surprised because they did subdue Ajax to some level. As I said, yes, they did ride their luck in some of the cases, but I think they'll be very, very happy with the performance tonight, and they're very worthy of that 2-2 draw.
Brent, we know that this game was played in one of the great cathedrals of European club football. There is no doubt that Benfica are European royalty. And the point I'm going to make and ask for your agreement with is not an original point, but it is a salient point because of this period that we're in with COVID-19 and the situation not so long ago when this game would have been played in a stadium without fans. I'm suggesting to you, Brent Sancho, those fans inside the Estadio da Luz tonight were like men number 12 and 13. Without them, I don't think Benfica would have put on the show and put in the effort that they did.
But of course, in the build-up to the game, I don't think any of us gave Benfica a chance. But you couldn't say that to their fans. Their fans were willing participants in it. And even when they went 2 goals to 1 down, you sense within the stadium the noise and, of course, the type of push from the supporters, a vocal push that Benfica would always be in it. And it needed that because they're a team that has been extremely inconsistent throughout the season. And many, like myself, felt that they would have been slaughtered today. But the fans made sure that their team stayed on their toes, and a lot of what they did that was positive came down to work rate. And of course, you'd have to agree that that work rate was enforced and pushed by a group of supporters that did not allow their team to die.
Yeah, in the Benfica team, Brent, I'm looking at players who no longer wanted by clubs in England. Nicolas Otamendi wasn't any longer wanted by Man City. Jan Vertonghen, Tottenham were finished with him. Adel Tarabt, Queen's Park Rangers were finished with him, and several other clubs in England, and they're part of this team doing well. The point I want to make, though, is this. Based on what you saw today, do you expect an emboldened Benfica to go to Holland and match Ajax toe-to-toe, given that they matched them toe-to-toe today and were not beaten?
To be honest with you, George, I don't think they have a choice. It's the only way that they can play against Ajax. If they are to drop off and of course, have their defensive line a bit deeper, I think they are going to struggle and they are going to get beaten badly. Today they played on the front foot, they played high press. A lot of it was down to, of course, as you rightfully mentioned, the fan support and the fact that they wanted to get a result. You could see there was a genuine desire to win the football game today. I don't know, however, if they can do that without the crowd support. I'm not sure if they can do that for 90 minutes in an Ajax team that is going to want to now, of course, prove themselves in front of their home fans. And I think that's really where the battle is. But to answer your question, I do not think Benfica has any other choice but to approach the game similarly to the way they approached the game today.
Yeah, telling you, when we were picking these games, Brent, and I looked at it, I said, you know what? Clearly you'd want to get Atletico Manchester United on the channel for the second leg, the deciding leg. But when I looked at the option that we were left with, Ajax Benfica, I wasn't unhappy because I knew it would have been a cracker, given traditionally how the fans rev up the team inside the Estadio da Luz after the Hawk, the Eagle, does his flight of the circuit of the thing and then lands back. There's nothing like that in world football. This is why we love the beautiful game. My friend, that's all the time we have. Thank you. We'll talk again.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Good. The UEFA Champions League lives on SportsMax and the SportsMax app. Round of 16 second leg action will begin March 8th and will be wrapped up on March 15. Download the SportsMax app to access the best of the UEFA Champions League. And remember, we give you a preview show like no other with experts, men who've played this game at the very, very highest level. World Cup players, yes, we have World Cup players on the panel. EPL players, yes, we have EPL players. Players who've been professionals in major competitions, yes, we have those. So yeah, that's the beauty of it all. We break back with more on the SportsMax Zone after these.